hour and 15 minutes, we're going to be talking about the product enhancements. I want to introduce myself. So I know I've met some of you. I did 2 presentations yesterday and met a few of you there. My name is Neil Ashizawa. I'm the Director of Product Management at Affiniscape. And I came into Affiniscape about 7 months ago now. Also wanted to introduce the team. So one of the things we want to do is take a team approach on this because I really believe we have a very team-oriented approach from a product management standpoint. So I'd like to introduce Samantha Helge and Brad Hodgkinson. And the 3 of us are going to go and take you through the product enhancements. But before we start, just wanted to say a few things. So when I came in seven months ago, whenever you go into a new company, one of the things you have to learn is what were the already existing historical conversations that were happening, right? So, what was the situation that I was coming into? And one of the things that I heard over and over again was that a lot of the partners kept telling Kevin, a lot of the new folks, and a lot of the old folks, with Affiniscape, you need to kind of get out of telling us what you're going to do and just start doing it, right? And so what I'm hoping, right, what I'm really hoping is that we're on the right track, right? And I'm hoping that in the past year, we're starting to show you some evidence and build some trust with you that we are, trying to do things and get things done when we say we're going to do them. And so that's the one thing. And so the other thing that I kept hearing, and this was really the quote, was, don't tell us what you're going to do, all right? And really show us what you've done. And I can tell you that. So in my 10 years of product management, at conferences like this, one of the things that product managers like to do is they want to show the new sexy stuff. I was told, can't do that, right? or can't talk about things you want to do. You got to show what you've done, and okay, I accepted that. And I interpreted that as, okay, if we can show you what we've done, then that is going to be interpreted as very sexy. So I'm hoping that that's the case. Okay, so one of the first things that we did as a mission, as a product mission, is we just wanted to get our house in order, right? Because if we're going to be able to go off and do a lot of the more visionary things we want to do, we can't do it on a house of cards, right? We have to have a very stable house before we could go off and do a lot of the other stuff. And so that was really the goal. And the product's mission is what we're trying to do, what we're going to always strive to do, is bring intuitive and easy-to-use software products to the market which provide compelling, seductive, and valuable offers of help to association leaders, administrators, and their members. Right, so that's kind of our mission right there. One of the other existing conversations that was happening was I kept hearing that any enhancement requests coming from our partners were going into a black hole. There was this characterization of a black hole where it went in and it was never seen again. And again, like I said, we're really hoping that we are changing that perception with you. And just here's some statistics. Okay, so since June, okay, we've had 4 releases. In those releases, we've covered off 16 sprints. What I won't do is I won't go into really what a sprint is. It's really part of the agile development process that we started using to increase our velocity on development. We've done 46 enhancements. We've covered off 62 defect fixes, and we've done 102 user stories. Okay, so, and what our intention here is to really start going through and showing you a lot of these things. Now, one of the questions that I had to the team was, is that okay? Or is it okay to just go back and show them what we've already done because we've released it and there's release notes and so forth? And actually, what happens a lot of times is that we have these enhancements in the product and you may not know about them, all right? And I've seen that a lot. I've seen it a lot where you say, Neil or Brad or Samantha, this thing's killing me, right? And it's been killing me for the past 3 months or past 2 months, and we actually say, we kind of fixed that one, or we had this, and you've been suffering for the last 2 months and you didn't need to, right? So I understood now from that perspective, there is definitely value in covering these things off. So, for the purposes of this discussion, we wanted to organize it in a way that hopefully is very understandable. And we're gonna section it off into 4 quadrants. So the first quarter of the presentation will be defect fixes. Well, not all of them, a couple of them. Then we're gonna go into the accounting enhancements that we did. I'm sorry, the data and reporting, and then accounting, and then member value. The way we're gonna present this to you is that Brad and Sam will be talking and providing you a lot more exposition and background on the enhancements. And we're also going to break every once in a while to show you a demo, so to break it up and actually show it to you. So that's the idea. Now, before I actually jump into it, there is one last thing we did want to cover off. Oftentimes, people have actually, and actually when I was on the roadshow and a lot of people were telling me, the way we used to let you know about the enhancements was we used to do an email, right? And we heard the feedback that email's not very good. It's not very effective because, I have to, first of all, receive it and then view it, and if I'm on vacation, it gets backlogged. I don't ever look at it. And so what we did was we actually, on the landing page, we're using this as the way we educate you on the enhancements and a lot of the other technology related things that we'd like you to know, like when our maintenance windows are going to be, when the release is going to happen. So I just wanted you to understand that that's there as well. Okay, it's in 360 and it's also in 24/7. Okay, great. So let's go for this. Defect fixes. So we wanted to capture your voice because we speak with you a lot. And so one of the defects, I can't see the Members 360 editor in Firefox. And this was a very interesting one. One of the reasons why we're highlighting this one is because Firefox changed their development process as well. They actually went more to Agile, and so their browser versions are happening on a much more frequent basis, which actually makes us have to react much faster. Right? And this was definitely something that jumped up and bit us. And so what we did was we upgraded the HTML editor. And the nice thing about that is that obviously it works, so we fixed the defect, but the new editor that we put in also brings a lot more feature and functionality as well. So that was a side benefit to making it, to having the browser compatibility. Okay, problem. I changed the wrong web page on my Members 24/7 site. I need to revert it to what it looked like this morning. Okay, so it was out of your hands previously, right? So you had to go into tech support and then they had to do it. And so what we did was we allowed the admin to be able to do that and actually retrieve an archived version. Okay, and that's what it looks like. Cool. Okay, this is the eye chart. This is all the defect fixes that we fixed. Okay. The intent here is not to have you read every one of them. The intent is to blow you away with how many we've done. Okay, data and reporting. So let's talk about the enhancements in data reporting. I have a hard time finding the form that I was working on. Okay, what I'd like to do is one thing I got to tell you guys before we move forward. So Brad and Sam, there's a product management philosophy that you have to be an expert at the product, but you really have to be an expert at with your customers and the marketplace. Brad and Sam they blow me away with their level of expertise. I don't think I've ever asked a question that they didn't know the answer to. So this is one of the main reasons why we wanted to also do this as a team effort, because they could really provide a lot of that exposition for you. So what we're going to do is I'm going to be doing the problem, and then I'm going to hand over to Brad to provide a lot more background on it.
All right, so any of you that have used Members 360 for a while are familiar with this problem. Forms works very well for you when you first start using Members 360, and then you get a couple years into it, and you end up with 200, 300, 400 forms, and it gets very difficult to find them. So in the past, what you had to do is actually paginate, right? Page through until you actually found the one that you wanted. And we heard this from you over the last couple years as several of you have started using Members 360 longer. So we did a couple things here. First is we added a last modified column, and we sort now by default by the last modified date, so that the forms that you've modified recently are the ones on top. So we think that if you've modified it recently, you're likely to go back and use it again. And then we also added on here a filter. And previously you had no filter at all. This is a pretty neat filter. You can kind of just type anything that you know about the form. So if I was looking for maybe the ballot for the board election from a couple years ago, right, I just type in something that I know. Here I'm typing in board and ballot. And I search, and it narrows it down to the ones that are relevant. We really didn't expect this to be a big hit. We kind of thought we'll just add this in, but I think we got more positive feedback on this enhancement than anything that we've done all year. So I guess we've done something right with this. So thanks for the feedback. It's great to know when we do something well as well.
this one, when we were preparing for this presentation, one of the things that we were noticing was that particular problem actually penalized the customers that have been with us the longest, right? And so we're just like, well, that's not good, so we better fix that one right away. Oh, sorry, there was the demo. Okay, great. So problem, the system needs to be able to integrate with third parties.
All right, so this one has been coming up more and more in the past couple years. There's third-party web applications that you want to integrate with, and both from a single sign-on perspective, so that a user who logs into your website and then navigates over to a third-party system, such as a social network or a LMS or a law library, doesn't have to log in again. And then also the ability to pass some information along to that third-party application. So we've started developing an API, and right now we have 2 services available. It's a single sign-on service, so that the member doesn't have to log in twice, and then a member profile service, so that we can pass some information from Members 360 over to the third-party system. We plan to continue developing services, but these 2 are available right now, and we're working on the first integrations. I think we've got 3 people using them right now, and probably a dozen more who are interested or in progress.
Okay, problem. I need to create a report that shows my revenue for the last month.
This one has come up a lot in the last year as well, and what you've told us here is that you want to know of all the money coming in the door, whether it's cash, checks, or credit card money. What is that money for? Is it for conference fees? Is it for member registration? Is it for the coffee mug that you sell? And you really haven't had a really good way to do that in the past. We had the payment allocation report that was meant to do this, but it didn't really work very well. It had 3 main problems. One was that the information was split over multiple lines. So if you've used it, you understand this problem. You had to manually, I see some heads nodding, yes. You had to manually connect the information from line 1 to line 2 and line 3 to line 4 in order to get the whole picture. The second problem was that it didn't contain all of the fields that you needed. There were some specific requests for PO number, for deposit date, deposit ID, etc. And then the third problem, which was really the biggest problem, is that this report didn't accurately show the amount of the payment that was allocated to each line item. It showed the total amount of the payment and the line item amount, but it didn't actually show you the amount allocated. So we've corrected all 3 of those problems, and we released a version 2 of the payment allocations report. Both versions are available now. Hopefully, if version 2 works for you, we can get rid of version 1 sometime in the future. This is a difficult report to show on the screen. You wouldn't be able to read it because we have basically combined 2 lines into one, and the number of columns in the report is enormous now. So what we've done here is we've listed on each line, there's 3 types of fields, 3 types of columns in each line. There's payment fields, and you can see all the payment fields that are in there, which are the ones that were included along with the new ones, PO number, deposit date, etc. There's all the invoice fields, specific line item information, and then the allocation information, including the amount allocated to each line item there. And then this is actually a screenshot of the report with most of the fields hidden, so that you can get an idea of what the report looks like. But you'll see there's 3 different types of fields there. There's the payment fields, the allocation fields, and the invoice fields, and all in one line now.
Okay, problem. I need a report on membership numbers over time.
Yeah, switch over. So what we've had available in the past here is the ability to get snapshot at any one point in time of how many members you have of each member type. But what you haven't been able to do is compare how does that compare today versus any time in the past. This was, when we asked you what your reporting needs were, this was by far the most requested report. It just leaps and bounds above anything else that you requested. So we created a new report here, and it's for now it's under member trend chart. And what it does is actually looks at the number of members of each member type each month, and by default it goes back 2 years, but you can change these dates. There's some neat interactivity here where you can hide specific member types. You can print the chart, and you can export the data. One cool thing that you could do here is you could actually look out into the future. So you can see how many members have renewed for next year already. So you can look and see, how much work do I have to do in order to keep my membership levels where they are.
Yes, question.
I heard you spoke that this doesn't designate whether members are active or inactive. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. Let's talk afterwards. I'll tell you why. Okay.
Okay, and just a little bit of background on that. So the payment allocations report and the trend report, interesting thing about those two reports. So I'd heard when I got here was that a lot more had to be done with reporting capability. And so we kind of got together and we thought, okay, well, let's do this. Let's just isolate the top 5. Well, we'll isolate the top 5 most requested reports. We'll then, we'll knock those out and then we'll keep going down the list, thinking that there's probably going to be 20, 25 reports that we're going to eventually need to provide. And when we started to do a lot of customer product development on that and asking you, we asked, what are the top 5? And you guys did the top 2, and then you struggled with 3, 4, and 5. So, and I know some of you shake your head, but majority-wise, those were by far the only 2 that were really requested. So just some background on that. Okay. Accounting. So, when my bank deposit is not what I expected, I spend hours trying to match payments recorded in Members 360 to my plug and pay and bank statement.
So if you were at conference last year, you'll remember we previewed the payment allocation report. And the problem that we're trying to solve here is that based on the data in Members 360, you expect a certain bank deposit from the online credit card payments. At times, that doesn't match. And what you told us is that what you have to do then is spend hours and hours finding those 1 or 2 transactions that are causing that discrepancy. Once you find those, it's fairly easy to fix them. So we created the reconciliation report, and the main purpose of that report is to simply identify those transactions. So it'll highlight those specific transactions that are causing the discrepancy. We finished development this year, so we previewed it at the last conference. We finished development this year. We rolled it out in beta. We got some really good feedback. We've implemented some enhancements from the beta program, and then we've rolled it out in general release right now. So the most recent enhancement that we've had is we've added an export function so that you can export this data out to Excel. We heard a lot of you say, I like to work on paper, I like to check things off, and I'm not able to do that online.
Okay. I do not have a way to avoid multiple invoices at one time.
Yeah, so if you've ever created bulk invoices and made a mistake, you understand the pain here. What you had to do in the past is go through every single one of those invoices and manually void it one at a time. That can take hours, and a lot of you have asked us to help you. We've called support, and we've kind of split up the work and done these, and we've all taken hours doing this. So, excuse me, what we've added here is the ability to void in bulk. So for any bulk invoice that you create, you can go back and void the ones that are unpaid. Probably won't have to use that often, but when you do need it, it can save you hours and hours of time.
Okay. I can't tell a member how much it will cost to renew without creating an invoice.
So this was a big problem that we've had for quite a while. You've all been telling us the difficulties that we've had here. There's a couple ways that people can renew in the system. One, you can just let people go online and renew from the member portal themselves. But what a lot of you have told us is that what's more effective is to actually send the member an invoice with the amount that they'll have to pay if they do renew. The problem we've had with that is that once you create those invoices, that writes journal entries. So your AR and your income are affected, and then when you export data out from Members 360 and import it into your accounting system, it looks like you've already earned that income, and you haven't earned it because you're just sending this invoice in case the member wants to renew. That has caused people to stop using the exports to the accounting system, and it's caused people to invoke all sorts of crazy workarounds, merging the different reports together to try to get the data that you need. So we added something new here in Members 360, and that is called a renewal quote. The concept is it's very similar to an invoice. You can create a renewal quote for dues renewal only. And the difference between an invoice and a renewal quote, however, is that it doesn't write anything to the journal, and therefore it doesn't affect your accounting system. Any place that you can create a dues invoice, you could also create a renewal quote. So you can do this in bulk or for a single member. So here I'll just create one for this single member. You'll see that it runs the member through the dues rules, and I can go ahead and save that. So now what I've got is a renewal quote in the system that I can email to the user. I can print it and send it to the user by mail. or I can just have the member go online and pay this renewal quote. And the great thing here is that once this renewal quote gets paid, you just allocate a payment to it like you would any other invoice in the system. And once this gets paid, you'll see what's happening there as I hit save is this renewal quote is converted into an invoice. It's writing the journal entries, and then the next time you export out to your accounting system, the income will be affected as you'd expect it to be. And this is the appropriate time to do it because now you've earned that income. Also works if the member pays online. So if they pay the renewal quote online, again, the renewal quote gets converted to an invoice at that point. There's probably a lot more to see here, and the Members 360 track later today is going to talk about both this and the reconciliation report in quite a bit more detail.
Okay, I want to import less data into my accounting system.
Yeah, so this one's interesting. It seems like about 60% of you want to export less data into your accounting system. You just want the GL changes on a daily basis, and then about 40% of you want to export more data to your accounting system. So what we've done here is we've started with the 60%, and we've created a solution here. So we have a export to Excel that is only the summary export to Excel, and what that does is just exports a summary not a summary, it exports the daily changes to each GL out to Excel, and then those can be imported into the accounting system. I can't talk about what we're going to do, so I won't talk about the 40% yet, but.
Okay, I can't add my own message when I email an invoice/receipt.
So I know this is a problem that many of you have had. When I started looking at this, there were about 6 different enhancement requests on this, each looking at specific things that they wanted, whether it was the ability to customize a subject line, the ability to customize and add your own message, the ability to change who the email was sent to. And so as we started looking at this, we said, well, we already have an email module. Why don't we just make that email invoice link go directly to the email module where you can customize everything there? So in July, this summer, we added the ability for if you click the email invoice link or the email receipt link, it will automatically take you to the email module. You can customize it. One of the new features here is you now have the ability to, just in this workflow where you're going from the email invoice, you can change who the email is sent to. You can add in your own email address. So in case you want to send this to the accounts payable office instead of to the member to make sure it gets to the right place, then you can actually put in the accounts payable office information in there, their email address. So if you'll go one more, this is what it looks like. And you actually see that the invoice is already attached at the bottom. You can't add an additional attachment. And then you have the ability to set everything up. A lot of people that have been using this have a special template that they've already created that has the message they want. They just select the template, make sure everything else is correct, and hit send, and now they have a customized information. Do you have a question, Gil?
Does this enhancement affect the entire mail module? Can you now put in a CC to a non-database person?
You've always had that ability in the email module. This workflow going, if you click email invoice, is the only one you can change the actual to address and have all of the merge fields stay the same.
Okay, I do not want the renew link to appear for all members.
So there have been a lot of requests over the years and a lot of different workarounds. When you look at your member portal, the renew link was always on for anybody who had expired, and you didn't have any ability to change that. The other thing that was a problem was it was a little small. And ideally we want it flashing in their face in big letters so that they know it's time to renew and that they can do that online without an admin having to go in and do a lot of work. So we kind of solved 2 problems here, and we did that with both of them. We now have the ability to disable renewals. So if you are an association where your membership comes from national, you can say, I don't want anybody to renew. You just go and check a little box and it will automatically disable renewal for everyone. But for those of you who just want to disable renewals for maybe your student members or for particular member types, your event attendees or other prospects in the system, so that they've attended one conference, now they're interested in joining, they know they have a login, they log in, they won't see renew. So that's something that is a very helpful thing. If you go to Members, Tools, and Customization, there's a new option there. It'll look like this. You have the ability to do it global, or you can do it member type by member type.
Okay. It takes me a long time to upload member photos for their profile.
So this is one thing that members have had the ability to do in Members 24/7, was a member could go in, they could upload their own photo, and that was it. We've had lots of requests from admins saying, you know, I'm spending hours. You know, this one member I have, they keep changing their photo every 6 months. And I'm tired of seeing their new photos. You know, and in addition to that, there was the whole, I have to size it, get it looking right, and all of that. So we've given members the ability now to upload their own photos. If you've looked at the member portal, and you have the profile section turned on in your member portal, you will see a new little area. It has the little profile image there. It says add image. Once a member has an image there, it switches to edit image. They can now remove their image at any time. They can change it at any time, and they can do that all on their own without having to contact you to do that. The system will automatically size it, so it doesn't matter if they take a 500 by 500 pixel photo that is 700 DPI that would completely blow out your page. It will automatically resize it down to an appropriate headshot level. We do. When we do a demo a little bit later, you'll have ability to see it. And also, one thing to say about that is, so for that renewal, the question was, if you didn't hear it, do we have a sample shot or a photo of what the new renew link would look like? What we've done is we have made it easy for creative services to style it however you want. So the sample you'll see will be the way that one group has decided to style it, but you can meet with the creative services team and say, I want it blue, I want it this big, I want it to take up half the page, whatever you would like it to do, and they can work with you on that.
Okay, I want to use the custom search, but I can't choose what information displays and how it displays.
So how many of you have used the custom search before? All right. Pretty big chunk of you out there who haven't. The custom search gives you the ability to create kind of like a member directory or a vendor directory. There have been some limitations on how you can format it and on what information is displayed. So we're going to do a demo here and talk about some of the specific solutions that we focused on. When I talk about this, I'm going to talk about a specific case here with the bar associations. So we had bar associations who wanted to use the custom search to display information about their members. However, if they had a prosecutor on there, they didn't necessarily want to display the prosecutor's cell phone, home address, home phone number, anything along those lines. So that meant, and it's kind of hard to see here, but there's a little card here. And it's the member detail view. And if you click on it, it's going to open up. It'll show you the photo of the person, and it'll show you their contact information. Before this summer, you had no ability to change this contact information. It was all set for you. And it was everything that was in the system. So one of the things we solved here was the ability to change that particular information. So if we look at the back end here. Get that to pull up real quick. You're going to see that there is a new tab right here called Details View. And the Details View is pretty cool. So this is what it looks like. And as I add additional information, if you notice, you'll see it altering dynamically so I can see what it's going to look like. And you can select what information you want to show. So that's a big part. The other is we also had several groups who said, you know, what I want to do is I want to sell vendor ads and for my vendor directory, and I want everyone who's actually paid to show first. So I want to determine who is at the top. So we've added the ability to change that with what we call primary sort order. So in this example, it is sorted by chapter. So everyone in a chapter is grouped together. And at the bottom here, we'll start seeing south. And so then everybody in one chapter is together. So this is what we call the primary sort order. The other problem that we were told with this custom search was we had name. You had to say first name, last name, middle name, and so everything showed up on multiple lines. The same with address. And if you said, I want address 1, address line 2 to show up, and there was nothing in address line 2, you see this blank spot here. So we have fixed both of those with the ability now to, over here on setup, you can select your primary sort order right here, set sort search results by, and there's all of the fields in your database. So you can select anything that is in your custom profile fields. Custom profile fields. So, but that's the kind of information. As we develop, we start off with what we know is important, and then we wait to hear what is the next thing. So that's the kind of thing, if you would submit that to, through tech support, talking to your account manager, saying that this is important. Collectively, we work together to prioritize which one should be first. Mm-hmm. So if you look down on the results page, we see you have the ability to select a full name block or a mailing address full address block. So what does this look like? Pull this up real quick. And now what the custom search is going to look like is you see the full name, the address, no spaces. Just gives it a little bit cleaner look.
Okay. Conference registrants who are not members are confused when they receive a new member welcome email in addition to their conference registration confirmation.
How many of you have had somebody who signed up for your conference as a non-member call you and say, but I didn't want to join? So we recognize that this was a big problem, and this is one enhancement we've added to the system where you do not have to do anything to start taking advantage of it. So what we did was we told the system if somebody is a non-member type, so when you set up your event attendee member type and you say non-member, then anybody who's a non-member will no longer receive a confirmation or a welcome email if you have those turned on. So all of those of you who have turned them off during your conference registration so that you wouldn't have that problem, you can leave those turned on now for everybody.
Okay. Members keep calling for a copy of their invoice receipt.
So members don't like to log into the portal when they just join to see the copy of the invoice or receipt. They don't like to log into the portal to get a copy of their conference email or conference invoice, conference receipt. So we have now added links to the bottom of any confirmation email that happens from the member registration, renewal, conference registration, or form submission. At the bottom of those confirmation emails, if you have them configured to send, will be a link. They click on this link, and it's going to automatically open it for them so that they can download it and print it.
Okay, members need the ability to download an event to their Outlook calendar.
So before this fix or enhancement, a member would have to manually think, I need to go add this to my calendar so I won't forget. Now, every event, whether it's a Members 360 event or a conference, will have a link on that home page that says export to my calendar. This is not anything you have to configure. It's just automatically going to be there as one of those links that appears. They click on it. It will open up an event in their calendar, and they can save it it will include all of the information, the name of the event, the location, and the times.
Okay, this one didn't fit into a particular category, but we were so excited about it, we just wanted to throw it in.
This is the one time we're breaking our rule. So what I'm about to show you is not officially released yet. So it is being worked on by our engineering team. We have the majority of the work done. We're still fine-tuning it. But we wanted to show this to you because it's pretty exciting. So what this is going to give you the ability to do is import information directly into 360 without using XML. For those of you who have done a data import before into Members 360, you know about the terrors and perils of XML imports. So you can do this in a couple of ways. What I'm going to demo is a specific workflow where what you're going to do, we think that a lot of you would like to be able to manage or edit data that's in Members 360 currently. So I can go to Members 360 in the member search screen. It's going to look a little bit different for you. We now have these new tabs over here. Import is one of them. But what I'm going to start with, I have some members selected. And I'm going to click Export Data. I click the Go. It's going to pop up the little field selector that everyone's used to. And once that field selector is there, I get to select what information I want to display. In this case, I want to change some people's chapter information. So I'm going to select Chapter. And I say Export. It's going to open up the Excel file that I'm used to. We have made a couple of modifications to it. This is what it's going to look like. Member ID will always be here now in your export file. And then these files that are grayed out, that tells you that you can't actually import them into Members 360, but they were selected in your file. So now I want to change this chapter information. And we'll change this person. And I save this to my desktop. And now I can come here, I click my import button. I say browse. Let's get that. Find it here. Just and my description in. I save it, and it's going to take me to a new screen we call the map screen, and this is going to show us currently that what I have in my Excel file, the one that I just modified, I have name, member ID, title, and primary organization. This was not the file that I just showed, so there should be a chapter in there. And then it's going to show me that name doesn't have a corresponding field to match. Member ID and title will be matched, but nothing here. And then all of these other fields are in the database, but were not in my file. If I accept that, it's now going to start importing in. And it'll take me to a screen that looks like this. Once the import is complete, I will see it completed right here. There will be a little button or icon there. I can open that. I can see the import file that I uploaded. I can see a log that shows me any errors or anything that didn't import. And then I also have a backup file that is created in case I made a huge mistake. So the backup file would allow you to take the records that were just imported. You can re-import that backup file, and it should take everything back to exactly the way it was before the import. So if you're doing it on the same day, it should be very good. If you're doing it 6 months from now, there might be some other changes in there that you missed. So it's one of those things that you do when you're importing. You do want to come in and verify that everything is looking the way you expect and want. So we're pretty excited about this. We think this is a great new tool that will let you feel like you're really owning your data, because now you have the way to make modifications to large bits of data at one time very easily. Before, you had to get a smart group. You said, all these people, I'm going to change this one field to the same thing. And now you can do it for everybody. That's not available yet. We expect to have that soon, but not yet.
Okay, so that is the enhancements that we wanted to discuss. I did want to close the presentation with a few words. So I opened it up, the conversation, by saying that we do our best to listen to what you say, and it was one of those things where we had to show you what we've done. But that doesn't mean we're not thinking about the future. And one of the things that I kind of committed myself to, because I do like to talk about the future a lot, is that I really won't talk about it unless in an unsolicited manner, right? So if you come to me and ask me, hey, so what do you got going on? What are your plans? I'd be more than happy to have that discussion with you. But I won't put it out there in front of you without you asking. If you attended some of the other presentations that I gave on building an online social networking community, as well as driving membership growth and retention through a freemium business model, obviously things like that are going to have to be supported by product, and that's a lot of where our vision is going to be moving forward. But also, just to reiterate, we did want to get our house in order, so to speak. And just to close this off, a couple things. So there's this concept called a product architecture, and what a architecture really is it's basically a logical representation of your product portfolio that you currently have. And this is basically what the Affiniscape product architecture looks like at this time. And all of the enhancements, all of the defect fixes are driven by, obviously discussing and having conversations with our partners. One of the things we did to circumvent that black hole concept is that, and by the way, the black hole wasn't only a characterization by the partners. Oftentimes, a lot of the people inside of Affiniscape, the staff members that are working with you from support, account management, sales, creative services, and so forth, they kind of felt like it was a black hole as well when they would represent you and submit an enhancement request, and then they never heard back, were we going to do it or not? They actually kind of said, yeah, it is a black hole, right? And what we did was we actually implemented a process inside the walls of Affiniscape. We call it the enhancement request process. And what we tried to do is we tried to actually kind of crowdsource the product management, where implementation, services, sales, account management, support, they all can be your representation based on conversations they've had with you. And so this is why we're hoping that the interpretation you have of the black hole is now disappearing somewhat. And we're going to continue to be committed to doing that. Moving forward, this is what the future vision of the architecture looks like. And again, you didn't ask me, so I'm not going to really talk about it. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a visual, though. We do have a lot of vision for the way we believe we can help you. And again, this is based on conversations we're having with you. with respect to building membership and supporting online communities and so forth. And so just wanted to leave you with that. And if you wanted to have any discussion with me, ask me any question, ask the team any question. We'd be more than happy to have discussions. So with that, what I'd like to do is open it up for any questions that you have. Which one? As long as you ask me. So one of the things that we're thinking here, right, is, and by the way, I do want to say vision is vision, right, and a lot of this has to be customer developed and vetted out and validated and so forth. But in the freemium business model, and even building an online community and so forth, one of the key strategies there is really to bring valuable products and services to members. And so one of the ideas that we had is, what if in the future we can have a product store in a member portal where the association brokered like a Groupon type thing for products and services, so that you can get it at a much better price collectively across your members. So that's an idea. So and if you take an example, products and services for physical therapy, for instance, right? Some products there we could do. Sorry, back it down. But that was the idea. Does that make sense? Okay. Question? Yeah. Yeah. So I've actually been asked that question a lot in the past 2 days. So absolutely, I've gotten confirmation from Baker's team that all the conference presentations will be on the website by next week, and it will be in the conference module. There's going to be a link to them, and then you're going to click on it, and then you'll be able to download them. Question? That is, so the legislation module is basically where members can go look up and get a status of the legislative efforts that the association is doing for them. So again, we're talking about the possibilities here, right? And so one of the ideas that we were thinking of is, if you look at this blue vertical web services API layer, so one of the things we were thinking about is, what if we had a services API layer where we can bring in other vendors and put it into the portal? And the idea behind it is if we were to do that, then clearly there'd have to be a partnership, right? And so and again, this goes back to what Kevin and Adam were talking about, how Affiniscape really wants to be an extension of your stack, right? And so we speculate that we can actually build relationships with other vendors, right? And do it in a model by which everybody wins. It's going to be like a win-win-win situation. Association wins, vendor wins, and Affiniscape wins. And so that's just an example, is that maybe we could broker a relationship with capitalists, right? On that brokering, well, I won't say anymore. Yes, question.
One of my questions is that when we submit enhancements in the past, this is a change, you submit it for an enhancement, and when you submit a support, you get feedback that says thank you. We don't get a thank you for the enhancements. It'd be nice to get a response back that says, this is something we're working on, other associations are using it, and we tried this. I mean, I put it submitting enhancements, but I just figured they wouldn't know where, because we didn't get any kind of response that said, thanks for putting our team, this might come here in the list, or we might look like we're going to get this done, or something. So it discourages me. I really don't put enhancements in, because I don't think it is. Is there any way, is that changing at all, or anybody?
So so when was the last time you submitted an enhancement?
Well, it has been a little while, because
Mar-
honestly,
Yeah.
I kind of waited for them back to the game.
Right. So, yeah, that's exactly the black hole that I'm referring to. Yeah, and we're hoping that so with the enhancement request process, one of the nice things about that, as we We built it within the walls of Affiniscape, and so the staff actually becomes an extension of the products team. Is that we have the discussions with them on, okay, so we heard all the enhancement requests, right? And then based on a lot of, prioritization and the way we make those decisions on what would be the best for our partner base, we'll prioritize them. And what we do is then we go back to them and we say, here's the ones that we're going to work on for this next release, and here's the narratives why we're going to work on it, and here's why those ones weren't selected. So at least there is reason and that they could go back and have conversation with you saying, here's what was accepted for this next release, here's what didn't get accepted, and here's the reason why. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to be able to have that closed loop feedback so that they could actually get back to you. So what I'm hoping is that it's turning around and that it's working. But clearly, I would love to continue to speak with you, and you guys can tell me if it is or not. I'm sorry for the. I'm sorry for what? Yeah. So, okay. So, and I'm not trying to. I hope this doesn't come across as I'm tap dancing because I'm really not. Affiniscape has, after speaking with a lot of our partners that were rolling out networking capability, we found, and I'm not sure, did you attend my Building an Online Community? Okay, so what we found was that there's some challenges with it, and I won't go into all the details, but what we found was that there's actually a much more pragmatic way to do it. It's not a if you build it, they will come situation, right? You can't launch a social networking platform and implement it and buy the licenses and go through these cycles and say, okay, here it is, and then people will start using it. It doesn't work that way. And quite frankly, I actually thought it would work that way. And the reason why, and it's easy to fall into that trap, and the reason why it's easy is because if you look at what all the experts are saying, what associations need to do in the future, they all say that you need to have a social networking capacity, right? And then when you speak to members, oftentimes they will say, yeah, I would use it. I was a couple of partners, they said, yeah, we actually pulled our member base and they said, we'd absolutely use that. We launched it and nobody used it, right? And so to make a long story short, we're going to build member networking capability incrementally because that's how you build networking in general. It's a farming mentality and you build critical mass over time. And so as we help you, hopefully, as we help you to do that, we'll also be supporting from a product perspective as well. So we're not going, I'm not going to tell you, we're going to have something completed and it's going to be incredible by the end of the year. It's going to be incremental as we grow these communities with you. Question?
Could you talk a little bit about reporting and where the product team is on some type of a real hands-on reporting suite?
Yeah, like a reporting database?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so, and guys, please jump in as well. So it kind of goes back to what I said when we talked about the payment allocation report as well as the member trend report. Predominantly, those were really the two that were being asked for. I mean, and when I say predominantly, I really mean that, like overwhelmingly. That doesn't mean that there are no other reports that you need. I recognize that. But what we found was because it was those two overwhelmingly, that we believe that a reporting database would be overkill. Particularly because when you do a reporting database, then really the onus would be then on you and your staff to then know how to use it and maybe have business objects or crystal reports or administrative understanding and expertise in that. And we just felt like maybe that is, I mean, if you add it all up, it's kind of like using a bazooka to kill a fly. And so we felt like, okay, we'll do the allocation report, we'll do the trend report, and then we'll incrementally build out the key reports that you need. So we're taking that direction instead of going big with a reporting database. And I do realize that I believe an expectation was set that we were going to do a reporting database previously, and since then we've changed our strategy on supporting your reporting needs. I hope that makes sense.
I think the problem is the fact that we want to combine data. We want data from the membership side, data from the camera side, and from the conference side all together. And now you have to go from here to go from here. And take it myself and put it in tax and make it together. It would be nice if we had access to the data. Just do something like the member ID and tie them together.
We can, we can definitely do that with such a like the member trends report, right? We can pull data from multiple modules. Let's talk about specific needs, okay? And then we'll see, can we meet those with a standard report? If we find that we can't, then we'll change our strategy again. But we think right now that we can meet most of your needs with standard reports rather than a reporting database that you would have to go code your reports in.
Questions?
Just a suggestion from this conference for all of us to come and take this time, and it's been very, very helpful. But I think feedback, when you all go back, and obviously you're being your staff, you're taking notes and writing big things and exclamation marks, these are what people want. That the outcomes that you all decide were important from your feedback that you got from all of us are formally sent back to either the folks who are supposed to be talking to us, and we get a report back. Yeah, we heard you. These are the things that really came out loud and clear, so that we feel that this time was well spent with us as well.
Thank you for that feedback. I think that makes a lot of sense. And just clarification for me, are you saying that goes for everything, not just products? I mean, just all the feedback from the conference? Yeah.
I mean, like this is the summary of the outcome, and this is what we heard, and this is what we're going to be focusing on. How you prioritize it, so that we go, yeah, okay, they're working on that. They heard us. Wait to see when you say you've done it.
Yeah. Right. I'll tell you what I can do. Would you mind? I'm going to be here for the rest of the day. Would you mind just having that discussion offline? And the reason why I say that is because there's going to be a lot of background and exposition I'm going to need to provide to you for you to understand our strategy and how we're going to roll it out. And it could take potentially more than 5 to 10 minutes. So. And if anyone else is interested in that discussion, then we could get into a group. Yes. So the question is, are we going to be able to download the PowerPoint presentations? And the answer is absolutely yes. And video? Okay, and video as well.
Repeat that, please. Repeat the question.
Oh, the question was, can we download the presentations that you've seen at the conference? And the answer is yes. The presentations as well as video.
Right. And I've had this conversation with a couple of different.
Let me just repeat the question.
So the question is, I would love to see the ability in the email module with my email templates to have some way to remove old ones that I no longer need, organize them so I can easily find them, something along those lines. And we would like to definitely make some changes there. I don't know which way we'll go, if it's will be a form search filter or something else, but we definitely would like to do that, and it's something I've heard quite a bit today or this week.
Yeah, I guess, so I think the question was, if I heard it correctly, it was you need a report that will tell you how many people join. Okay, so you're looking for a report similar to the member trends, but rather than the total number of active or total number of members in each member type, you're looking for just number of members that joined, historical. So since you asked, I guess I can talk about the future. So we're actually working on that potentially starting Monday. If I can get the user stories ready by Monday. So I can't promise that will be in the January release that we have planned. I don't know if that'll make it or not, but it is coming very soon. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is create another report for new members and renewed members, and then potentially another report for drop members and delinquent members. I think I'm also going to separate the renewed members into renewed and reinstated. So those who have renewed during the grace period and so those that renewed after the grace period. Cool. Well, all of you who clapped in, come talk to me because I want to get this right by Monday so that we can start developing correctly. Okay?
Questions?
Yeah, along the same lines, it's nice to see that chart of your average graduate processing. If you create a report that gives me a number of members in December, or the
Again, that's where I'm thinking. That's not what I'm starting to work on Monday, but that's where I'm thinking we'll go. Yeah.
because I know my board actually wants to see a list.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is actually be able to click from the report into a list of those members and let you take action on those members. Yep.
Questions?
I'm scaring the development team now.